want to talk to you guys about going to the grocery store and shopping and how we do that and what we should be looking for, especially whenever we're looking at ingredients labels. So the easiest way to grocery shop is going to be to stay in those outer areas. So where we find all of our fresh produce, where we find our fresh meats, things that don't really have labels, that are naturally grown by earth. Those are going to be the best for us, right? It's going to be really easy just to grab some cucumbers, grab some apples, grab some bananas. Where you're going to need to spend some time is in those inner aisles. So most of your food should be coming from the outer aisles, the foods that really don't have labels. Frozen vegetables and frozen fruits are fine, but you need to read the ingredients labels and just make sure that there's not anything added in there. So you don't want to be buying like flavored frozen broccoli, right? You want to flip over that package and see that it is just broccoli. And with frozen fruits, a lot of times if there is a certain fruit that you're wanting for maybe like your yogurt parfaits or for your smoothies in the morning, buying frozen fruit is a great option because obviously not all fruits are in season at all times. So the way that a lot of times they do frozen fruit is it's picked at its very peak, best time, and then they just kind of flash freeze it. So it's totally fine to buy those frozen things. Just make sure you're not buying, the frozen vegetables that have all of the butters and all of the salt and all of that kind of stuff, right? So you're not going to be buying frozen meals per se, but frozen vegetables and frozen fruits are fine. So let's talk about actually reading ingredients labels. So if you're in the middle aisles, you're probably maybe looking at things like cereals, granolas, maybe different sauces like spaghetti sauce, different condiments like ketchup or dressings. And, a lot of times when we see these things, we can see the front of it and it could say, heart healthy, low sugar, high fiber. We see things like that and we're instantly like, well, yeah, that must be healthy. We throw it in our buggy, we eat it for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute. Why aren't we losing weight? Like, I'm eating healthy cereal or healthy granola or whatever. But if you would have taken the time to turn that packaging over and read the ingredients labels, you would find that sometimes just because the front of a box screams healthy, that is not always the case. So whenever you look at ingredients labels, okay, this is what I want you to start doing. So I pulled a few things out that we're going to look at here. So let's just take these oats for instance, okay? So if you're looking at oatmeal, the first thing that I want you to start looking at, and in any ingredient, so oatmeal, crackers, whatever, right? The first thing you're gonna look at is ingredients. So this one says organic, whole grain, rolled oats, and that's it. There is no sugar, there is no words in there I can't say. So that's the first place that I want you to start looking, is right at exactly what is in here. If it has a laundry list of things, meaning like 10 or more ingredients, put it back, right? It should only have like max, I would say 5 to 7 ingredients in it. The less is better. Okay, you're also gonna wanna look when you see that ingredients, does it have added sugar and does it need that added sugar? You're gonna find really quickly that a lot of foods have added sugars for no reason. For instance, whenever you go to buy peanut butter, you're gonna see the GIF that says all natural and you're gonna be like, yeah, that's the one I'm gonna buy. But when you turn it over and you look at the ingredients, they've added sugar and some other things to it. Whereas these two, the ingredients in both of them are only peanuts. That's it. There's no added oil, there's no added sugars, nothing. It's just peanuts. So this is healthy peanut butter. So start looking at those ingredients, okay? So when you look at the ingredients, the most important ones are gonna be those first 3 that you see. The first 3 ingredients that are listed is what is the majority of what is in that food, okay? So number 1, you're gonna start looking at exactly what is in your food. The next thing you're gonna look at is you're gonna go to this table, which I know a lot of times we instantly want to look at calories and say, oh, well, it has 200 calories, I'm putting it back because it's not low calorie, and I've learned low calorie is what I need. I need those low calorie snacks, those ones that are like 100 calorie snacks, and then it's like crap added in them. So you're gonna start looking at this. Here's what I want you to look at. Number 1, the sugars. it should have 8 grams or less of sugar if sugar is added into whatever it is that you're buying. If it has more than 8 grams of sugar, it goes back on the shelf because you don't need it. The next thing I want you to start paying attention to is the carbs to fiber ratio. It should be a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every 10 grams of carbohydrates, you need at least 1 gram of fiber. So for instance, these oats have 27 grams of carbs and 4 grams of fiber. So it checks off on that 10-to-1 ratio. So again, I'm like, okay, this is good for me. And then you can start to pay attention to the calories that are in it. Yes, if you turn something over and it's like 500 calories, yeah, no, you don't need it. 150, 200 calories, that's pretty decent. And then you're also going to pay attention to the sodium in things, especially canned food items sometimes have a ton of sodium or in your seasonings, and you want to be careful with that because if our body has a lot of sodium in it, it's going to store a lot of water, and then we see things like bloating and our weight is going up because our body is holding on to extra water because of that sodium in it. Okay, so you're going to read, number 1, the ingredients. See what the heck is in there. Can you read it, or is it a laundry list of stuff? If it's a laundry list of stuff, it goes back on the shelf. If it has sugar listed as like the second ingredient, yeah, you probably don't want to put it back. So after you've looked at the ingredients label and it's checked off, you're going to pay attention to the grams of sugar. If it's got 8 or more grams if it has more than 8 grams of sugar, put it back on the shelf. Then pay attention to your carbohydrate to fiber ratio. It should be for every 10 carbs, at least 1 gram of fiber. And then you can pay attention to calories and sodium. So again, your oatmeals, you want to be careful with those. So these are just, dried oats, but maybe you're like, oh, I just want something quick, grab and go. So let's just look at this one. This one is Kodiak oatmeal. So when I look at the ingredients, it's 100% whole grain rolled oats, some pea protein with tapioca starch, cane sugar, milk protein concentrate, brown sugar, maple syrup, whey protein isolate with sunflower, sea salt, and natural flavors. So it's kind of a lot. For me personally, I'd probably put this back on the shelf. My boyfriend eats it and he's fine with it. But whenever I look at it, it has 37 grams of sugar, or 37 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber. It has 12 grams of sugar. So for me, I wouldn't eat it. And it has 230 calories. So instead of buying something like this, it's just as easy for me to just make my own oatmeal that doesn't have any of that stuff in it. Again, remember, read your ingredients labels for peanut butter. All right, so let's talk about granola. This is one that sometimes trips people up. I'm gonna wrap this up. So whenever I look at this, I can read all of the ingredients. It's all organic. This one does have sugar added to it, but when I look, it's only 6 grams of sugar. So it's less than 8, perfect. 20 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fiber. So this is a good granola. I find it at Publix. And then here's another one that will really surprise you. Whenever you go to buy pasta sauce, turn it over and look in the ingredients. You're gonna be surprised at how many spaghetti sauces have sugar added to them. And you don't need sugar in your spaghetti sauce. So when I look at this one, it's all things I can read: tomatoes, olive oil, onions, basil, garlic, garlic powder, and onion powder. Sugar was not listed. There's only 6 grams of sugar in here because tomatoes have sugar in them. And there is 0 milligrams of sodium, so there's no salt added to this one. So whenever you're getting things like canned foods, you want to buy things with sea salt or the ones that have less sodium or no sodium added. But just because it says less sodium on there, still flip it over and see how much is in there, okay? So I hope that helps you guys. Remember, when you're grocery shopping, stay on the outer edges. All those foods like your produce and your meats that don't have labels on them, those are gonna be the very best for you. And then as you venture into those middle aisles, know that you're going to spend some time there reading labels and comparing things. So like for granola, for instance, I grab 2, I compare them, which one is the healthiest, I keep that one, I put the other one back, and I grab another one, and I will sit there and do that with all of the granolas until I find the one that has the best ingredients, the lowest grams of sugar, and then that is the one I buy. So know that you're gonna spend a little bit of time in there, but it's gonna be so worth it. So hope that helps you guys, and I will be back here tomorrow to drop some more knowledge. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments so that I can help